Hello, I'm Sherry, a financial coach.
And I'm Val, a financial planner, and welcome back to the Mind and Money podcast. Today, we're sharing a video that I came across this morning. There's been a lot of these interviews. They kind of seem to be taken either after people leave a club or something or on random boardwalks. I don't know, but I love them. So this one, the question was, how much money do you have in your bank account? And these have always floored me because they just have. So a couple standing side by side, and he goes, I've got about $500, but I'm working really hard. And she goes, and I would say they're early 20s. She goes, I've got about $80,000. And he is like shocked. And he's like, how do you have all that money? You work 2 days a week. And she's like, well, I save all my money. And he's like, because I spend all my money on you. And she's like, yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. And he's going, how are we supposed to build together? And I get that. This is why couples need to talk about money early on. My gosh. He was kind of like that. How is this fair to me and to us? And she was like, he walked away from the interview and she was still continuing it on.
Yikes.
The next train of thought is that $80,000 in your checkings account is not doing anything for you. So what is your thoughts on hearing that story, Sherry?
That's an indicator that people aren't talking about money, and we know that. We're no strangers to that piece of information. And today, this topic could go in two ways. It could go towards talking about couples and money, but it's not today. We are going to do one. It's on our ever-expanding list of topics we're going to talk about. But today we're talking about bank account balances and what we've seen, because we do have a unique perspective to see our clients' balances in their bank accounts and know more about the why. And as a financial coach, specifically who helps a lot of individuals with ADHD and other neurospicy things in there too, it's knowing yourself and knowing why you need that bank account balance. So me personally, my husband and I maintain part of our emergency savings in our main checking account to avoid a bank fee, because bank fees, they just burn my ass and I hate them. And you're charging me so that you can hold my money. And I do understand, you're giving me a service, but you're making money off of my money. So why you got to be an asshole like that? So that's my take on it. So we maintain a minimum balance so we don't pay the $20 a month bank fee. And yes, I know we can go fully virtual, and I like to have at least a bank account with the traditional bank so you can go in and get things you need, like a certified check or something like that, without waiting for it to come in the mail. But I also have clients that are the complete opposite end of the spectrum. One in particular, if you're listening, you know who you are. She needs to have zero wiggle room in her account that she pays her bills out of. So she has another account that she does all of her spending out of, like her gas, her groceries, all of those things. But in her bills account, she needs to have less than $10 in the account. She needs to know that if she takes out that debit card for her bills account and uses it for something, she's fucking everything up. And so that helps her know that the stringent rules around that. It helps her keep that stringent rule because she knows the consequence of doing it. And what she does is it's the account that her pay goes into. And when she gets paid, or when she gets her pay stub to know exactly how much her paycheck is, she goes and transfers any wiggle room to her current savings goal. So she's got lots of automations going into things for all the life things, but then what's her current financial goal? And that's where any extra money goes, so that she knows no, we're not messing with this. So what have you seen as far as the range of your clients' account balances and kind of what's the reason behind it?
Yeah, I have clients that have to spend down to zero, similar to her. They have to see that floor, and having it separate from bills and spending has been handy for them. I've also come across clients where $20,000 is their safety cushion. They're like, I just need to know it's there. So we typically dive into that a little bit, because I'm always educating them to show them if it, even half of it were over here, it could be doing something different for us. The balance of not paying a fee is a popular one. If they're not with Simply or Tangerine, paying no fees, then no problem. But if they're with someone, the big five, then we're trying to avoid paying those bank fees, because it's a fee that we're not yeah, okay, to your point, we're using their services, but they're also winning on our money, so we're not too worried about paying for that fee. It's interesting to see those different mentalities around what is enough and how spending gets structured. A lot of the times when clients are first meeting, there's not necessarily a structure. So credit cards also come into play because they create a false floor. It's not our money. So even if we don't have it in our account, it's really easy to spend and then be like, how do we fill that hole, right? Creating a structure that works for clients. I have clients where we tried setting up kind of like the joint accounts and the different savings goals. Didn't work for them. It was too much. So trying things and not being afraid to trial and error.
Yep.
But when it comes to bank account balances, I would echo what you're saying. And when there is a really large account balance, we're going, okay, does that make sense there? And even with some clients, depending on the high interest rate, we weigh out, okay, let's say the balance is 6,000. If that 6,000 is in your checkings account and we avoid the 1095 fee or the 1690, be making more in your tax-free savings account earning interest. If balance, let's say it's of 6,000, we look at what the account fee is, and then we look at, okay, if it's in your TFSA at a high interest rate, what is that going to earn you in interest each month, and does it outweigh the bank fee? And how does that make you feel if we move some of that security away and still keeping it liquid and available?
Yep. So that's something that you would suggest then, is looking at the interest that it's earning. So like personally, my husband and I, we have sinking funds, not in a tax sheltered account, but they're earning, because those are ones we cycle through more, like car maintenance, like clothing, things like that. So, but they are still at an account that's earning 5% interest. So yeah, I've never done the math on that. Like with my minimum balance, I should look at that. And like, also every once in a while when I'm having these conversations with the clients, I'm like, maybe we should just move away from our account or like scale it down significantly to one of those like $4 or $5 fees, because we do use our credit cards for most things. So being able to, we don't have a whole lot of transactions through those accounts. But if you haven't been paying attention, if you do have a chunk of your emergency savings or sinking funds in savings accounts where you are earning higher interest, a lot of those have started to come down as the Bank of Canada reduces their rate. It's great if you are paying, it's great if you're on a variable rate mortgage or a line of credit that's got a variable rate, but it's also impacting any money that you have sitting in a savings account. So the big banks pay crap on savings, but if you're in, like a Wealthsimple is one that I've been getting emails on, they're basically matching any reduction by the Bank of Canada.
Yeah. And when it comes to those high interest savings account, I always urge clients to check what that interest rate actually is, because I came across one recently with a big bank and the interest rate was 0.7%, but it was labeled as a high interest savings account. So that education piece, right?
Yeah, and there are vastly different rates, and a lot of the banks, both online and their traditional banks, like they draw you in with a promotional interest rate for a short period of time. And 3 months, 6 months, maybe even 12 months in, it goes from 3, 4, 5% to point something.
Yes.
Because you're probably paying less attention to that because of the time. You might not necessarily see that. So go check your interest rates.
Check your interest rate.
Go check your bank fees. See if your bank does have if you maintain this balance, you don't pay a fee. Or think about, does moving fully online make sense? Is it something you're comfortable with? Because I know you're not going to get rich off of not paying bank fees, but depending on how old you are, just do a little quick calculation. How much are you paying per year? Best case scenario, worst case scenario, whatever scenario you want to go with, how long do you think you're going to need that bank account? And like, what does that add up to? Like, if you were to invest that amount, even if it's $19.95 a month, it's gonna grow. And it's just something that burns my ass. Damn bank fees.
Yes, I completely agree. So the answer is it depends when it comes to bank account balances. Logic says have at least there to not pay bank fees. Logic says go to a fee-free institution. Pay attention to your money, pay attention to your interest rates.
Pay attention to how you feel when there's different bank account balances, but also pay attention to how you spend when there's different bank account balances, because time and time again, I see paycheck deposits, increase spending, increase bank account balance, and the spending and the balance go hand in hand. So the sooner you can reduce that balance and like get focused on spending with intention, the better off you'll be long-term financially.
Nailed it, Sherry. Okay, thanks for listening.
And we'll see you next time on the Mind and Money podcast.